Qri Desktop Demo. Pull and sync with Qri Cloud. Hey, I'm Casey, and I am excited to show you guys how you can use the Qri Desktop app and the Qri Cloud website to pull and sync data onto your computer. So let's say you are browsing the Qri Cloud website and you find a data set that you want to work on. For example, we have this awesome data set here that tracks the New York City subway turnstile counts. First, I can take a look at the README here to see if it piques my interest and see if the creator has given any insight into how their work was done. Let me feel out if I can trust this data. I can also take a look at a sample or a preview of the underlying CSV data, which we call the body. And okay, look at this. This data set was updated 2 days ago. It says that it updates weekly. Is that true? Let's take a look at the history. Okay, yeah, so 7 days ago, 17, 23 days ago, this data set updates pretty frequently. That's really cool. Now I know I definitely want to work with this data set. Maybe I want to pull this into Excel or to R to do some analysis, or bring it into something like QGIS to leverage the fact that there are longitude and latitude columns. But either way, I'm going to want to get to the underlying body file here. Before I show you how to do that, just so I'm better able to keep track of it, let me follow this data set. So what does it mean to follow a data set on Qri Cloud? It means that Qri is going to shoot me an email anytime this data set is updated. Or if I choose this bottom option, it'll notify me when there's any activity like a new issue opens, there are comments, or an issue is closed. Now I'm going to show you how to use the Qri desktop to pull this data set down into Qri so we can use it. But look, you're going, Casey, there's a download button right here. Just push it, we're good. And hey, you're right, we can use this download button to get the most recent version of this dataset. We'll get all the metadata, the structure information, this README here, and the underlying CSV. We even provide this integrations tab that gives you instructions on how to use the Qri Cloud API if you want to just be pulling this dataset straight into other online tools. But in most cases, I'm going to want that fresh, updated data to use in my analysis. And next week, when I get that notification email, do I want to have to come to this website, download this file here, open the zip, rename the CSV file, something that won't conflict with the one I downloaded before this week, and move it around? Plus, now I have 2 slightly different data sets on my computer taking up room. All of that sounds not ideal. So I can do it in that way. It'll work. Or I can just use Qri to easily sync my datasets for me, store them in a logical way that also allows for deduplication and other space-saving techniques, and it'll allow me to browse through any version I've pulled really easily and export any version that I want to use. I'm going to click this pull button. Qri Cloud gives us some information on how to get this onto your computer using the Qri Desktop or Qri CLI. I'm going to copy this dataset reference here, and let's just switch back to the desktop app. All I have to do is click this button, paste the reference, and click pull. This is going to pull the latest turnstile daily counts dataset into my local Qri repo. I'll also pull down this history list, so I have a reference of all the datasets on this list. However, to save space on your computer, we only auto pull the latest version. If you want a historic version, you'll have to manually add that. Okay, so here we go. We have the dataset, you have this list of history, and you can look at the full body here. One other major benefit to using the Qri Desktop app is, let's click on one of these column headers, and it'll actually get you some basic column stats for free without you having to do any extra work. So you can use those to do some like quick basic analysis. For example, looking at this line column, we can see that the 8th Avenue to Fulton Street line has the most turnstiles, and the Sea Beach and West End line has the fewest. Now I have this data set. How do I pull the CSV file from this version into some other analysis software? To get the underlying CSV out of the Qri repo, all I have to do is click export and save. And that's all it takes to save to my file system. I can now just pull this turnstile CSV into any other software. Excel, Jupyter Notebooks, whatever takes CSVs, this will work with it. And okay, let's say I don't need the CSV anymore. I can delete it without worrying that that data is gone forever because it still exists in my query repo and I can export it anytime I want. And next week, when you have that new version of this data set and you have to export it again, and you don't have to worry about overriding any other data, you don't have to worry about saving it in some weird name, it all will exist right here. Now let me show you how easy it's going to be to sync this data when you get your notification that it has updated. All I have to do is click the data set here and click Pull Latest. But I can actually update multiple data sets at a time. So let's see how that works. I'm going to select a few data sets that I think may have updated since I've last checked. Okay, so it says it's pulling 4 data sets. And see, user Christos's COVID-19 count dataset has updated. So this transfer bar up top is just showing me that the dataset is being pulled, and I'll be able to get the most recent version of this dataset. And I'm able to get this most recent version of the dataset without having to go to some random site or set up some complicated pipeline. Qri just makes it easy for me to keep my data fresh with just a couple clicks. And that's our walkthrough of using Qri Desktop to pull and sync a dataset from Qri Cloud. For more on how to use the Qri Desktop app, check out our other videos.